question. The message for today's service is, did you come to serve or be served? And as we see this, I'm going to flip around a little bit today. Matthew chapter 19. Before we start, I want to go to the Lord in prayer. We're going to start out in Matthew chapter 19. Amen. You go to Matthew chapter 19 and verse 20. Jesus had just got done telling them what was going to happen. He had just got done telling the disciples that he was going to be offered up and he would rise again. And they go into verse 20, and immediately we hear one of the mothers of James and John, the mother of Zebedee's sons, came to him with her sons, kneeling down and asking something from him. And he said to her, "What do you wish?" She said to him, "Grant that these two sons of mine may sit, one on your right hand and the other on the left in your kingdom." But Jesus answered and said, "You do not know what you ask. Are you able to drink the cup that I am about to drink?" Remember, he just told them what that cup was. "And be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with?" And they said to him, "We are able." He said to them, "You will indeed drink my cup and be baptized with the baptism that I am baptized with. But to sit on my right hand and my left is not mine to give, but is for those for whom it is prepared by my Father." And when they heard it, they were greatly displeased with the two brothers. But Jesus called to himself and said, "You know that the rulers of the Gentiles lord it over them, and those who are great exercise authority over them. And yet it shall not be so among you, but whoever desires to become great among you, let him become your servant. And whoever desires to be first among you, let him be your slave, just as the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve and to give his life a ransom for many." How many of you would know that in America, many of us choose our churches by which ones serve us the best? Which ones have all the trimmings and the fixings and all the things that we want to make it easy? Very seldom do we ever go to the house of God that we show up going, "This is my gift, how can I serve? What can I do?" We are so self-focused so much that we spend very little time wondering what we can do for others. Someone expressed one time that true joy was Jesus, others, and yourself. Jesus, others, yourself. How can I serve you? I serve Christ by serving you. So when I come and I say that it's not just about me, I shouldn't have shown up this morning just thinking, what can I get out of it, but how can I bless you? If we look at Hebrews and we think about that, and not just because I'm the one preaching, but as we look in Hebrews, and we're mindful that in the time, especially as the days come to an end, my job and your job as church members are for us to encourage and exhort one another. Did you show up this morning barely dragging, thinking I had nothing else better to do today, so I'll go to church? Or did you go this morning thinking, man, who can I bless today? Who can I encourage today? Maybe somebody has had such a terrible week. Things aren't good at home. Things aren't good at work. I want to look for somebody intentionally today that I just want to put my hand on their shoulder and say, I want you to know I'm praying for you today. I've been thinking of you. How can you encourage them? And then do it now. Don't just check the box. But to do it. Jesus said, I came, the Son of Man didn't come to be served, but to serve. That's the attitude that we as believers, as the body of Christ, as the church should be. The church shouldn't be just a place where we get together on Sunday. The church should be a working organism that comes together for the purpose of serving Christ and his kingdom. We are all an intricate part of this body, and that's where we should be. But we've got to get to the attitude, that we have the attitude that we came to serve. Wouldn't that be awesome? That we came with the attitude that I am going to serve Christ and I'm going to serve others. I'm going to tell you something about service, especially when you're down. When you were depressed and you were down and you were in a ditch, one of the best ways to make yourself available for God to lift you out is to serve Him and serve others. You will never find such a great encouragement as when you start picking other people up. Now, if you lay there in a ditch together and you wallow together, oh, woe is me, then you just end up one big wallowing mess. But when somebody starts to say, you know what, Lord God, you are worthy, and I am yours, and Lord God, you are mine, and I want to serve you, and I want to serve them, and I'm going to worship while I'm waiting. That's putting feet to our worship, where it becomes something that we are here to serve. And serving takes something. It requires something. Nobody set a greater example than that than Christ. If you go to John chapter 13. In John chapter 13, it says, "Now before the feast of the Passover, when Jesus knew that his hour had come, that he should depart from this world to the Father, having loved his own who were in the world, he loved them to the end." Jesus knew what was coming. So many times with trauma and things that happen in our life, we become paralyzed. We become, and we get a thought and a process in our mind that thinks, I am useful to no one till I have this situation rectified in my life. Until this is taken care of, I cannot be used. Jesus was facing something worse than any of us, hopefully, will ever face if you're in Christ. Jesus had been, from eternity past, had never been separated from the Father. All the weight of the wrath of God was about to be unleashed upon Jesus for the sins of all mankind for all time. If anybody had a reason to be preoccupied with their own situation, it would have been Jesus. But Jesus loved them to the end. His whole life, his whole focus was to the end. I got such a bad habit of saying, well, if I just get past this. Well, when I get on the other side of this, well, we're going to rock and roll. You know what I mean? Anybody else say that? You ever think that way? How many of you have ever noticed that there's always something on the other side of this?
I never did.
You know that? So what we've got to learn is, how do I need to get so focused on Jesus now that even if I, like we see with Jesus in that verse 1, where he is facing all that is coming, he was still loving those around him. And it goes on and it says, and supper being ended, the devil having already put into the heart of Judas Iscariot, Simon's son, to betray him, Jesus, knowing that the Father had given all things into his hands, and that he had come from God and was going to God. See, that's the difference, ain't it? He knew where he was going. He knew where he was going. So knowing where he was going meant that the hurdles and the things that were standing in his way were not sufficient enough to keep him from doing for the Lord and for others what he needed to do. When we sat with Mr. Glenn a few weeks before he graduated, one of the things he told me that bothered him was he felt like he couldn't do anything for anybody. You remember him saying that, Mr. Jim? That was the thing. One of the things that bothered him the most was that he felt like he was useless. He said, brother, you can pray. I am doing that. But when you know where you're going and who you're going to be with, then your situation can be overcome to serve those around you. The devil will want to paralyze you with it. And it's such a temptation to say, right now until I get on the other side of this, I can't do anything. I'm going to be paralyzed with fear. I'm going to be paralyzed with stress and anxiety and all the things that go with this. So until I get on the other side of this, but boy, when I get done with it, woo! That day don't come. And if it does, it don't stay long, does it? So knowing where he was going and where he had come from, he knew whose he was. So that he knew who he was going to serve. And he was going to serve him, and he was going to serve him by serving them, and that's how it was going to be. You and I need that attitude in the church today. You know, if that would happen in the church, we'd have a revival. He rose from supper and laid aside his garments and took a towel and girded himself. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash the disciples' feet and to wipe them with the towel which he was girded. Now, you got to picture this. This was a menial task. They all ate low to the ground. The tables were low, kind of reclined on pillows and stuff. So your stinky, nasty feet was there. Now, I've been around some of y'all when you take your shoes off. I'm glad we don't eat that way no more. All right? But look, this was a nasty, stinky job. If you were servants, if Jacob and Shelby and me were servants and I got hired last and it was time to wash their feet, they would look at me and go, all right, new guy, you're up. And I couldn't wait for them to hire somebody else new. They didn't want to wash your stinky feet, right? But here they are reclining, and instead of Jesus looking at them, or even one of the disciples going, I'll wash their feet. Jesus, Emmanuel, God with us, the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords, gets up and girds himself and gets a bottle of water, and he goes, a bucket of basin of water, and he goes and starts to wash their feet. Jesus. Y'all don't understand what I'm telling you. Jesus. The one, God in the flesh. The one that speaks life into existence. There was nothing made that was not made by him and for him. Jesus Christ gets up and washes the feet of sinful men, which would have been the lowest of the low jobs to do. And he got up and he did. Now Peter loved the Lord. Peter looks at this and he came to Simon Peter, and Peter said to him, Lord, you are washing my feet? And they're like, no way. Not you. Now, James, John, those two guys wanted to sit on your right and left. Let them go wash my feet. But not you. Lord, you're the Son of God. Jesus answered and said to him, what I am doing you do not understand. But you will know after this. Peter said to him, you shall never wash my feet. Jesus answered, if I do not wash you, you have no part with me. A lot of people don't come to Jesus out of a false humility or out of pride, where they'll think that I know who Jesus is and I know how sorry I am. There ain't no way he's going to, no, I'm just going to take what I'm going to get. Let me tell you something. If you don't let Jesus wash you, then you have no part with him. And the only thing that we have to look forward to is damnation, because we're outside of the only saving grace that God provided was in his own Son. Wednesday night, I encourage you to be here. We've got a very special Wednesday night coming as a favor. Brother Dennis from Garden City has got a young man who, when he was, I think, 19 or 20, he killed his best friend accidentally with a pistol. And they were drunk. And he's going to share all this with you Wednesday night. And in that split-second decision, he pulled the trigger, he killed him, he lost a great scholarship, a job that was waiting for him. I think there was a relationship he lost. In 10 years, he spent in prison. And he doesn't know the Lord. He doesn't know Jesus. Doesn't believe God exists. You say, what in the world is he doing speaking at church? Brother Dennis and them went to, for part of his probation and part of what he's got to do, he's got to speak to groups. So what they told him is, look, we're going to love them. And we're going to tell you there is hope for your situation. He wrote his testimony out word for word. We went through it and looked what he was going to say. And so Wednesday night, all the youth will be in here. And the man told Brother Dennis now, he said, Brother Dennis, he said, I don't even text and drive anymore. He said, I just realized, he said, I never thought, he said, we handle guns all the time. It's something we did. And one day we were just too drunk to realize it was loaded. And we played with it like we always do, and now he's dead. He said, so I understand that in a split second life can change. He said, so even though, he said, I just don't even do it. Well, after that, Elizabeth's going to give her testimony. Because we're going to go from a testimony that is a desperation that has no hope unless he turns to Christ, to the testimony of someone that came and the doctor said you ought to be dead, and I've never seen anything like it. It's going to tell you what Christ has done and what Christ has done with her and is doing through her now. And then I'm going to close with the gospel Wednesday night. So I encourage you to have your kids here. I encourage you to be here. And we're going to hear desperation, and then we're going to hear hope. And I encourage you to love on this young man that's going to be here. I don't care what he's done. And Christ died for what he's done, and he needs the forgiveness and the reconciliation that comes through Jesus. And I hope you're here to share that with me on Wednesday. So I encourage you to be here for that. As Jesus goes on and he tells Peter, he said, Simon Peter said to him, Lord, not my feet only, but also my hands and my head. Now, I love people like Peter. Oh, Peter, boy, when he done it right, even if it was wrong. And Peter was like, no, well, not just, but don't stop there. I want as much of Jesus as I can get. Now, as Jesus goes on, he, kind of got to calm old Peter down sometimes. He said, he was bathed. Now, I had to make sure when Jacob was younger he didn't misunderstand this verse. He who is bathed needs only to wash his feet. No, this is metaphorical and spiritual. Where Jesus said to him, he who is bathed needs only to wash his feet, but is completely clean, and you are clean, but not all of you, for he knew who would betray him. Therefore he said, you are not all clean. Excuse me. So when he had washed their feet and taken his garments and sat down again, he said to them, do you know what I have done to you? You call me teacher and Lord, and you say, well, for so I am. If I then, your Lord, Jesus knew who he was, right? So if I then, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also ought to wash one another's feet. For I have given you an example that you should do as I have done to you. Most assuredly I say to you, a servant is not greater than his master, nor is he who is sent greater than he who sent him. If you know these things, blessed are you if you do them. Jesus said, I've given you an example. You ought to do like I do. When Jesus said, sometimes we get on our high horse and we'll think, well, these certain jobs are above us. There was a young man that when he was going in the military, and he was a young believer, he was a young person. And he called up Olive Baptist Church and he said, the Lord convicted me that I'm not serving. And he said, he talked to Pastor Ted, he said, Pastor, he said, I've got 6 weeks till I leave, I think it was, and I want to clean toilets for your church. Don't want me paid, don't want anybody to know I'm doing it. He said, I want to serve. He said, boy, we'll be glad to hear from him. He said, because when we built this building, that was one thing we made sure it had was plenty of toilets. and they put him to clean toilets. Didn't name the boy's name. Didn't tell the boy's name when he told the story. Just let him go to work. Go serve him. And sometimes we think, well, that job's, my skill level's too high for that. My prestige is too high for that. Well, surely somebody else can do that menial task. Surely you have something greater than I can do. We need to get over ourselves. Because here's the thing, if the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords can get down and wash them nasty, I'm not talking you slipping off a cowboy boot. I'm talking you walking wearing sandals down a dirty road. And if the Son of God can get down and wash those feet, then you and I can too. And we need to have that line of service. And I'm telling you, don't get pumped up. That was a good message today. I'm telling you, we need you. I'm telling you, there is so much that's got to be done for the hayride that is coming up that it is just it's overwhelming if you forget who Jesus is. Because if you take Jesus out of the picture, Stephen, I don't know about you, but I quit. Right? Because there ain't no way it's going to get done. But through Christ, we can do it. But we have to do it together. And it takes everybody, and we're all a part of this body, and every single one of us have got to have the mindset that I'm here to serve, not just to be served. Your decision shouldn't be, the church made me feel good. The church pumped me up. I tell everybody all the time, don't ever join a church that don't need you. Because you're missing the point. And now look, if you're a brand new baby believer, you just got saved, maybe you got a little while. But somebody needs to be pouring into you before you can step up and serve somewhere. Okay, that's one thing. But you ought to be shadowing somebody. But if you've been a believer for a long time and you ain't doing nothing for Jesus, you need to step up. Because the thing about a church isn't just where you go. The church is that we are a member of a body that does stuff for Jesus. And we can do more together. Does that make sense to anybody? That means at some point in time, and I'm going to go ahead and say it, the work days need to mimic what we got on Sundays. Because if you think that a church is going to do a lot by the Sunday group that you got here, there's an old church saying, 10% of the people do 90% of the work. What, could you imagine if the church came together and the representation that come for what they get on Sunday gave throughout the week? For the cause of Christ, what we could do? Jesus only had 12 people. They turned the world upside down. You understand that? Y'all, we need to step up. Better yet, we need to kneel down. We need to get down and wash some feet. Philippians chapter 2. Go over here. Philippians chapter 2 and verse 3. How do we get there? And I'll tell you, it says, let nothing be done through selfish ambition or conceit. If I only do what I do because I want to know what I can get out of it, then I'm just like the world man. I'm only doing what I do because I get something from it. How does it benefit me? That is a selfish ambition. If I get conceited where I'm too good to do certain things, there's things that are just below me, and I could never do that. But look what it says in the next part of the verse. But in lowliness of mind, let each esteem others better than themselves. Better than me. Ain't that the attitude we get sometimes? They might not be better than me, but maybe we're just as good. But what does it say? Esteem others as good as you. I think what it says is, esteem others better than you. Man, that's hard to do, ain't it? Look how busy we are in the world we live in today. When's the last time you got to just sit around on the porch or sit with your family or sit and do something like that? Just, actually sit down to a real meal. Well, or when we, just a time to sit and chat with your church folks. Just a time to just sit and just watch the sun go down and just think about how good God is. But we're always running. We're always running somewhere. And I don't think that's a coincidence. I think that's the devil. If you got an extra minute, let us know. We'll give you something to put in it, right? And I've noticed, and you have too, you're smart folks. You ever notice that, I guess we're so close to God, we just kind of put him on the back burner sometimes just so he'll understand. We miss things for God we never miss for the home camp. You know that? Or our rodeo, or our hobbies, or whatever it is we just happen to like. I'll tell you something, you stay out all night long, you work all night long, baseball game you want to go to, or a rodeo you want to get to, you don't be there, ain't you? What about corporate worship today? It ain't that important, is it? Well, God understands. Somewhere we've got to get to that point where God's important to us, and we're willing to get down and wash some feet. We're willing to get busy for Him, even when it costs us and it's not convenient. That, I believe that is the epitome of true worship. I think we can sing and raise our hands all day long, but I think when we live a life that is a life with worship lived out, that is where we just praise Him all over. I think that's where it gets real. I think that's where the people that Jesus told, look, when I was naked, you clothed me. When I was hungry, you fed me. When I was in prison or hospital, you visited, sat down, and Jesus said, well, they said, oh, when did we do that to you? They didn't know that was Him. They were just so busy serving. And Jesus said, look, when you've done it to least these, you've done it to me. That was worship. We need to be about worship. It says, it goes on and again about Jesus. A good leader never has to do what he does do. And Jesus sets the ultimate example. Let each of you look out not only for his own interest, but also for the interest of others. Let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. See, this is the mind of Christ, who being in the form of God did not consider it robbery to be equal with God, but made himself of no reputation, taking the form of a bondservant and coming in the likeness of men, and being found in appearance as a man, he humbled himself and became obedient to the point of death, even the death on the cross. Therefore God also has highly exalted him and given him the name which is above every name. You want to talk about somebody humbling themselves, stepping out of heaven and stepping onto the cross. Will we step out at all with an encouraging word? Will we step out and help hand with a neighbor? Will we do what we got to do for the opportunity that we've got less than 60 days from now to share the gospel? Last year was over 1,000 people. Do you know how many churches spend, no joke, some of them millions of dollars desiring to minister to share the gospel with 1,000 people? In this area alone, I can name half a dozen. God's given y'all the opportunity in a cow pasture to be faithful. And He sends the masses to you to share the gospel with. And I promise you, that's going to have eternal significance. So check your priorities. But there's work leading up to it, not just the time through it. Please don't forget that. And I've noticed that fall is one of the busiest times of the year. A few weeks ago, y'all know we had a meeting about buying 20 more chairs because people were standing up in the back. We got to get our priorities right. We got to get focused on the work that the Lord has called us to do. And we've got to be about that. We've got to humble ourselves. Won't you look at 1 John chapter 3. 1 John chapter 3 and verse 16, it says, by this we know love, because He laid down His life for us, talking about Jesus. And we also ought to lay down our lives for the brethren. Do what? Wait a minute, I thought you was just going to, if I come to church once a month, you were going to sing the songs I like, give me a free latte, wash my car, and let me get on my way feeling pumped up. Now you tell me you want me to lay down my life for these other folks? Yeah. Because that's what our leader did. That's what Jesus did. But whoever has this world's goods and sees his brother in need and shuts up his heart from him, how does the love of God abide in him? My little children, let us not love in word or in tongue, but in deed and truth. Look at Romans chapter 12. I beseech you therefore, verse 1, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. It means we ought to do that. And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. For I say, through the grace given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly. You know there's going to be times where you and me got to take a hit to reach somebody for Christ. There's going to be times somebody's going to come out with one of the dumbest things and the most hurtful things you've ever heard in your life. And for you to reach them for Christ, sometimes it's going to be where you're going to have to just... And remember that the wrath of God does not bring about the righteousness of man. And throat punching them is not going to be the best response at this point in time.
I don't see that.
It's in the Message Bible, brother. But how can I think and compassionately respond to you in a way that shows the love of Christ?
Choke slamming, okay?
Well, let's meet Wednesday night. Y'all are violent, but let's back up. No. That you may, listen now. That you may prove what is good, acceptable, and perfect will of God. For I say, through the grace given to me, to everyone who is among you, not to think of himself more highly than he ought to think, but to think soberly. That means think rightly. Think according to Scripture. Use your time to get it together. How what you can say is going to honor God in what you say, and not just win the argument. As God has dealt to each one a measure of faith. For as we have many members in one body, but all the members do not have the same function. Everybody's got something to do. Everybody. There's going to be folks running around here during the hayride that you'll never see. They'll be so sneaky, be like cowboy ninjas out there, getting bottled water to the scene, making sure they got firewood, just directing traffic. And you'll never see it. I'm going to tell you, we couldn't do it without it. You'll have Paxton be up on the cross, and people will be talking about it already around this year. They'll start saying, man, we remember that, and I cried last year when I watched that, and we started to hear that. But I'm telling you what, the guy behind the scenes is just as important as what Paxton's doing. You know that? The little shepherds, they're going to stand up, they're going to jump, they're going to go, oh. And we're going to be sitting there just hoping they don't fall into the fire, and their costumes aren't flammable, and we're going to be doing that, and that's important. Every single thing out there. But I'm telling you what else is important. The people that's going to be here next Saturday is going to make where they can get in and out. The people that's going to build the stalls and the bathrooms. Let me tell you something. We got some servants in this church. I'm going to tell you that right now. I don't even know who did it, but somebody this week went down to the barn got the track. I don't know if they might not have got the track. I hope they used the tractor. Somebody went in there and fixed all the stalls, filled them up with dirt, got it where the gates were closed and everything. I don't know who did it. They'll never tell me, but God knows who did it. Because they didn't do it for me. They done it for Jesus. Now, do I benefit from it? Mm-hmm. And everybody else that feeds and horses benefits from it. And somebody did that. Showed up today, when he was in the back, looked at it, under the clean. Somebody brought cleaning stuff in. I don't have a clue where it come from. Didn't ask anybody to get it. But there it is. I showed up here one Saturday. I drove up and I had asked, we got to work back. And I don't know if that was to be nice to me or just to keep me out of the way so they get something done. I don't know. I mean, you got to understand, you get a preacher there that slows the work down by 15% minimum. Right? And if he hadn't preached the week before, it's a dead 65% slow rate, right? Showed up, there's people here working. And it happens all the time. So we got servants. And a lot of kids done it. But I'm going to tell you, could you imagine what could get done if we all had a servant's heart? That it ain't about me. And it's about him and it's about them. And you're part of them. But it takes us all ministering to one another. It goes on and it says that we are talking about that we all have different functions. Everybody's function is important. So we being many are one body in Christ, individually members of one another. That means we have a part in each other. Having then gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, let us use them. What's my gift? Am I an encourager? And some of you are carpenters, some of you plumbers, some of you actors, some of you are teachers, some of you are loving people. Use your gifts. God gave them to you. Use them. He who exhorts, having the gifts differing according to the grace that is given to us, let us use them in prophecy, let us prophesy according to our faith. Our ministry, let us use it in our ministry. He who teaches in teaching. He who exhorts in exhortation, he who gives with liberality, he who leads with diligence, he who shows mercy with cheerfulness. Let love be without hypocrisy, abhor what is evil, cling to what is good. Boy, I tell you, man, that sounds like good advice. So there's a couple things out of those verses. Number one, present yourself as a living sacrifice. Here I am, Lord, use me. If nobody knows your name, nobody gives you any glory this side of heaven. Awesome. Because Jesus said when we do it, be seen by men, and men say, boy, we've got our reward. But Jesus said, what I see you do privately, I reward you openly. So when you don't let the right hand know what the left hand's doing, you do it and you say, here I am, Lord, man, then there's a reward coming. That's from Him. And that's the rewards we strive for. Don't be like the world. Number two, don't be like the world. What's in it for me? What can I gain from it? Is it a photo op? We see, man, it's election time. There's photo ops everywhere. Man, you can't hardly watch TV without getting nauseous. And so don't be like the world. What's in it for me? You Lord Jesus, I love you. Number three, don't be transformed by the renewing of your mind. I'm sorry, this is part of number two. By the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. Show them your faith by your works. You can talk about your faith all day long. And be the kind of people that you're authentic. Number three, be humble. Each of us is an important part of a bigger machine. We each have a job to do. I'll tell you something, you can have the most pretty saddle in the world. Brand spanking new saddle. But that little bit leather flat that holds your D-ring on, if it's rotten, it don't matter how pretty the saddle is. It don't matter. You might think you're not important to this church. I'm going to tell you you are. Every single one of them. We all have a job to do, and if you're not there doing yours, then the D-ring is missing. Some of us need it. We need it. And I know how it is. I know everybody's here and everybody's there. Just call them and let them miss it. They expect it from me. That's my job. You call them. Text them. Everybody text. Facebook them. There you go. I don't know if anybody MySpace is anymore, but whatever, just okay. But just let them know you missed them. They might appreciate it. Your church needs you. I'm gonna ask in a minute, Stephen to come up here. I'm gonna tell him he don't want me to tell. I can do that right now because it would be awkward for him to stop me. So, anyway, last year, we had so much need with the hayride. Stephen went to his family, and they had a family meeting and decided they would do Christmas in January. And they would use the money they were going to use for Christmas to do the hayride. He does not want me to tell you that. He's probably thinking, well, we're going to talk to Mrs. Lowe. I hate when deacons call the meeting, you know, that's just bad. But you know what happened? We let them down, and that's why they got put in that situation. Because he was going to serve the Lord, we were going to do what needed to be done regardless. That's serving, that's awesome. Let's don't do that this year. It ain't his job to carry, it's his job to lead. That's what he's doing. God put that on his heart, that's what he's doing. And they're leading us, and we appreciate that, and that's what we got to be doing. And y'all, we're letting our Lord down, and we're letting them down, and everybody we can tell about Christ if we don't step up and help and be part of what's going on. So I told you this morning there was going to be a call to service. I don't care if you leave feeling good, it bothers me a bit. What I want you to leave is convicted and moved for Christ. I'm going to ask Stephen to come up here in just a minute when Phil sings that last song and Jimmy says the last amen. And I'm asking you not to assume that, everybody says, well, you should know I was going to be there. Come tell them what you want to do. Or come ask them what they need you to do. So the man can get some sleep at night, but word at night. Would you do that for your Lord? Let's pray.